it wasn't until I probably got up to like 10 weightlifting clients, I was like, okay, like I could really make a career out of this. And then it was a thing just for me to like make money, right? Because I was like, man, I need a job, but I didn't want to go back to Lifetime. But then it just grew into this thing that we have now. And it's kind of cool to look back and just be like, wow, like came a long way.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Creature Feature. As you can see, we are live here with Matt Blass himself.
That is me.
Matt Blass out here on the tracks. So, Matt Blass, blast off. This is always the hardest part because I always just think, what am I saying even? But so, owner, founder of Mavalk Apparel, Blast Off Training Systems.
That is me.
Coach, athlete, all those things.
Mainly
Here with
coach.
us today. How's it going, Matt?
Good.
Yeah?
Happy to be here.
Chilling?
On these fine train tracks today.
Yeah, so we're out here. We'll see how long goes before we get hit by a train. So
yeah,
hopefully,
if a train comes, you guys will know.
yeah, because it'll be a quick cut. So anyway, welcome everybody. So let's go ahead and get into it. Matt,
Yes.
welcome. Good to have you. How did you get into Olympic weightlifting? Start off.
Great question, Paul. I actually started Olympic weightlifting through CrossFit, and I think this was around like 2013 or 2014. I started it with a friend of mine that was at Lifetime. We actually saw it being on the TV in the locker room, and I saw that and was like, hey, that looks really cool. You know, they're doing a bunch of cool things. Their bodies look really sick. Let's go do it. And then down the line, I was like, hey, I just want to do the Olympic lifts instead of breathing heavy all the time.
Yeah.
You know? So
Too many reps in CrossFit.
too many reps.
Too much cardio.
Yeah.
So it's easier to chill and just be like, maybe three at most and nothing more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that. So here we are.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your Olympic weightlifting journey, so early on when you first got started in it, like what would you say were some struggles that you had, and some breakthroughs that you had through those struggles?
I would say so. Like back then, like when I was first starting, there weren't many like coaches. Like so, the only place you could learn how to do Olympic weightlifting was at CrossFit gyms, and I think now that's changed a lot. Like we have remote coaches everywhere. There's tons of places in Indianapolis where you could even just go for weightlifting. So that was just hard because I think, yes, I would get some good feedback from the coaches in the CrossFit gym, but when you're like one of 20 people in a class, some things slip through and your technique doesn't get really worked on. So I did a lot of like YouTube video watching, just practicing and just looking at people on Instagram. That's pretty earlier on, so not many people were even posting their videos on Instagram, but that's just kind of how I got by with my training partner at the time. So
Nice. So yeah. Like, I guess like it's crazy to think about how much the community has shifted in the last even like 10 years about the availability of people to coach, and it is true that it feels like a lot of people back in that time were getting their first access to those movements through like CrossFit. So I guess in a way that's really interesting. Something I wasn't a part of since I'm kind of a baby in the weightlifting community. Such a newbie, but so that's interesting. And so so obviously you start off CrossFit, then you got more into Olympic weightlifting itself. But what happened, or like when was the time that you're like, I'd be interested in coaching this sport?
That started happening when I became a personal trainer in like 2018.
Okay.
Like I did spend some time as a coach at a CrossFit gym, which honestly I should not have been. Like I just went to Ohio one weekend, got my level 1, and they were like, hey, you want to coach some 6 a.m. classes? And I was like, oh, heck yeah. I think I got it wasn't even a free membership. I was stoked for a discounted membership.
Okay.
Which I know that's weird, but like through that, I ended up going to school, studied exercise science, and I was also just competing a lot then. And then I became a personal trainer, and I didn't realize that I actually wanted to coach until I actually had a couple powerlifters at Lifetime come up to me, and they're like, hey, like, we know you do Olympic weightlifting. We know it's like a barbell sport, but like, I want you to coach me in this. So a lot of people don't know that. I actually had more powerlifting experience coaching under my belt before I even decided to coach Olympic weightlifting.
Okay,
So, yeah, that was new and fun. But once people started like winning some meets, I noticed that I could progress them. I was like, hey, maybe I give this a shot for Olympic weightlifting. So,
yeah,
at least coaching wise.
yeah. That makes sense to me. And was there something that was there kind of like an epiphany moment where you were like, okay, I'm doing this kind of like part time, like on the side, but like, was there like really a moment where like, I think I'd be interested in doing this like full time and like as a position, like the main
Yeah.
source of income? Like, was there a moment where you're like, dude, like I'm vibing with this. I really enjoy it. Let's go full send on this.
Yeah, I think it wasn't until like 2020, so post COVID, Indy City Barbell was like one of the first gyms to open up. So I needed a place to train myself. So I went there and I was like, hey, they have everything I need. So then I remember Steve being like, hey, we actually have a lot of people that come by and they want to learn Olympic weightlifting, but there's no coaches here. And I was like, it's funny because I have my USA weightlifting. I think I had just gotten my level 2 at the time.
Yeah.
I just spent some stimulus money on that level 2. So it actually paid off because he was like, hey, I'll just start pushing people towards you. And it wasn't until I probably got up to like 10 weightlifting clients, I was like, okay, like I could really make a career out of this. And then it was a thing just for me to like make money, right? Because I was like, man, I need a job, but I didn't want to go back to Lifetime. But then it just grew into this thing that we have now. And it's kind of cool to look back and just be like, wow, like it came a long way.
Yeah.
You know?
No, honestly, yeah. So like, we know, like, so you start off like your background kind of now and like how that went and how that all accumulated into like making it more of like a career out of it. But like in that early time where you started out coaching and like even maybe when you first started making it your career, if you had to like share any like the wins, big wins, fails, and like lessons that you learned during that time, like what would come to mind?
I think some of the things would be like, especially transitioning into just being more of a full-time coach, is like figuring out your target audience. Because I also was just trying to take on any client I could, because that's usually what they tell you to do when you first start like coaching or personal training.
Yeah.
But then over time, you could kind of like sift through the athletes that you want to work with. But like at the end of the day, for me, it's just all about helping people. And if I feel like I can help them, like I'm going to try to.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Okay. Gotcha. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit here, and we're going to go more into like when it comes to the coaching clients, like mental breakthrough kind of situation that you have with that. So when it comes to like an overall like philosophy, like what do you believe separates average results from transformational results? Like what is mentally happening, not just physically when it comes to the numbers, but like what is mentally happening in that situation for you?
I think the number one thing for athletes to consider is just their mindset, right? Like a lot of people, we have the one of ones, the people who end up winning the Olympics, right? Like those people, they are very naturally talented. And I think when you have that combined with a good mindset, that comes with discipline. Like discipline will be the biggest thing for most athletes, because like I do think weightlifting can become very mundane, and not every day is going to be fun. Aches and pains are going to happen, right? And a lot of sessions will look the same, like week to week, year after year. So just being able to like turn that off and say like, hey, this is my day to train. I'm going to do this even though I don't feel like doing it. I feel like that will push somebody farther than talent sometimes. You know?
No, 100%.
Yeah.
Definitely agree. And so we're talking more about mindset now. And so when it comes to mindset, there's obviously barriers that come up during, like I said, with how mundane it gets and all of those things. But when it comes to those barriers with your clients, how do you approach those, and how do you help your clients to break those down so they can get through them? How do you help them out there?
Like for a while, it was just about like, hey, you know, somebody wants to do Olympic weightlifting, like I'm just going to help them lift the most amount of weight possible and just get them in a meet, right? But now I've gotten a lot better at like establishing a lifter's goals, right? Because at the end of the day, if this is something that, if they say they want to do something, my job is to help guide them towards that goal, right? And help them pivot and help them make better decisions outside of the gym, how they could like, maybe they need to sleep better, or maybe they need to get their nutrition in check. Like, I will point them in the right direction. But I think doing those things in my job has like helped me a lot realize that like I need to get my stuff together sometimes too, personally. It's like, you know how some people will be like, oh, do as I say, not as I do. It's kind of one of those situations, because sometimes I'll be giving advice and I'm like, man, I need to do that myself, right? So it's been helpful for me as well, and also obviously the athletes too.
Yeah. Well, and I think that I know you and I have like had lots of long talks, like car rides and everything like that, but it is truly that Olympic weightlifting is a sport that we do. But I think what's been cool is that, you know, you being a coach, me being actually one of your athletes as well, is that it's one of those things that the breaking through those mental barriers, like you said, it kind of reinforces outside of what you're doing. Like I said, obviously we're coming in here, we're doing snatches and clean and jerks, and, you know, like, but we're coming in some days where you're just like, I feel like I'm tired, my body hurts, but it kind of creates that sensation, and you're like, oh, but I can push through this in a way if I know I should, right?
Yeah.
And how that bleeds over into our, you know, like our day-to-day life where we just go to work or something like that. You're like, it creates that kind of strength of character and strength mentally that kind of bleeds over more or less.
Yeah. Like, I think when we have weightlifting, like, there are ups and downs, and as much as everybody wants to have like perfect days in the gym, like no miss snatch days, no miss clean and jerk days, like stuff will happen. Like, people will get sick, then they can't train for a while. But all you simply have to do is just get back on the horse. And it's same thing like with anything in life. Say you want to shoot for this new job promotion and it doesn't work out. Like, we just have to keep moving forward. And if I could help guide somebody to have a better mindset with that in the gym, I think that can help shape what they do outside of the gym as well. You know, like, we're shifting mindsets like over the course of somebody's just life in general. You know?
So you play the role of being a weightlifting coach, but also in a strange way, you're also a life coach.
Yeah, a lot of us will say that. It's like sometimes we might become more of like what is it called? Like, somebody's like I don't know what I'm saying right now. What's the word?
You could call it like maybe psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist. There you go.
Or like, you know,
therapist.
Or therapist. Something. Yes. Yeah, something not even nearly that serious. That's why I always say life coach, because it's just like trying to point them in directions where it's like, okay, you know, I need you to hit these percentages today, but I also need you to go home, get some rest, relax. Take it easy, maybe reevaluate your workspace right now, because it's bleeding into other aspects of your life.
100%. And like, that's going to happen as well. But as long as I could try to help somebody get 1% better in that aspect, like, I feel like I've done my job. You know?
Yeah. Well, let's say honestly, good stuff, honestly. And I just, I guess we're going to shift gears here a little bit more too, because I know you're a very like regimented person. I don't know if people see that too often, but I know like I said, in your essence, I mean, I used Matt's 3-step process for mouthwash this morning myself, just to prep for this, just get my mindset. I'm sure you could tell the people about that at some point if you'd like to. But when it comes to like mental and emotional habits like that you stick to, like, what are your like non-negotiables that, like, for my day to feel like it has it's regimented and structure? What are the things that you do from day to day that makes that happen?
That's actually a really good one, because recently I've gotten into the habit of journaling more. So I actually do have this like life tracker journal that I created for myself. And I know some of the homies might roast me for this, but it's like, it's just one of these things where I go home at the end of the day and I just write down something cool that happened. So obviously today I'm going to go home and write down that we did a podcast on the train tracks.
Yeah.
And it's not even that like, oh, I won't remember that, but I just want to be able to look at that and recall. And it almost gives me like a sense of gratitude at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll do that in the evenings, but like every morning I try to go on like a 20 minute walk.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll try to do some breath work, whether that be called like meditation or movement prep. Like, you know how I like doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do that because I just want to give myself time in the day for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because once I get going, it's just very much like, hey, I'm programming, I'm doing things for work. And then once I'm at the gym, it's pretty much just being at the gym until I go home to eat. Right.
Yeah.
So that's, those are some of the non-negotiables that I've been having or setting for myself, at least in the morning and then in the evening.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. But so naturally, like we all love to have structure as much as possible. Some of us function off chaos a little bit better than the others. Some of us are more structured individuals. But like when it comes to things that throw you off your structure, when it might be like an injury, like personal stress going on, like how do you cope with that? And how do you try to like, remain calm and like trust the process?
I think I've gotten pretty good at like managing things like that just because that's just going to happen. I am very much aware that, like we touched on it a little bit earlier, I'm very much aware that like I might get sick and I'll be out of the gym for like a week, or maybe my hip is feeling weird and I can't train. But the only thing you can do is move forward, right? And if we're just like stuck on the past and worrying about, oh crap, that happened, you're just simply going to do that. You're just going to be stuck, right? And I think it's very important for people to just have that almost like short-term memories, like, okay, like that happened, cool, let's move on, right? Because I can't dwell on this. Like we've only got how many years to live, right? Like so might as well keep moving forward, make the best of it.
Yeah, no,
just keep going.
Definitely couldn't agree more. It's a short-term memory is always great. I think one thing I usually tell people too is like control the controllables, right?
100%.
But I think we hammer that all the time into everybody's brain here. Is just like, it's like, can you control it? And well, why are you stressing about it? Then it's like, if you stress about the things you can't control, you're actively taking energy and time away from the things you can. And so just reevaluate, right? And then just remember what's important and move forward.
Yeah. And I think just understanding that nobody's perfect, right? Like we can all try to be though, but nobody really is. And that there's a reason why. That's what makes us human. It's like we're going to make mistakes, but as long as you can try to be better for it, like I think that will always produce better outcomes no matter what. You know?
100%. I mean, and if everything went right all the time, I don't think you'd ever really appreciate anything whatsoever if it actually did happen, right? No. So, Ronica, the iPad overheated. I can't see anything. So
iPad overheat.
So we all, have those things that help us push when things are hard, right? When things aren't going right, maybe you had those setbacks that we're kind of talking about. But I'm going to flip that a little bit and ask you, so when things are going right and you're comfortable, how do you keep from becoming complacent?
Great question. I guess like here's my thing is like I try to focus on the present a lot. Like I think it is good to look a little long term, but sometimes I feel like in the past I used to just focus on end results and where I wanted to be, and then I would almost stay put or stuck and not really do any work to get there because I'm just focused on making this plan or perfecting this thing. And I think now I've shifted to just being more present with my day and my
as we try not to get my trains out here.
Yeah, it sounds like a helicopter's firing up, but just trying to be more present with my day and just knowing that if I attack each day with the best I can, really serve my athletes and clients, I think opportunities will naturally pop up from that. And then depending on what they are, like you just take that opportunity and run with it, right? like I said, I really don't think I plan too much or too hard into the future, because sometimes I need to just manage my expectations as well, you know?
Yeah. I said that's very relatable. I think a lot of people could definitely feel that way, and and me included, because I mean it's easy to like start looking long, but then kind of lose what's happening in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess to kind of flip from that is that when you do
Chopper firing
definitely
up.
chopper firing up back there, everybody.
Get to the chopper.
Yeah, we are really in it out here. That's actually a part of the creature feature is the takeoff.
Yep.
We hired that helicopter. But if we do have to say we look out long term, like where do you see like blast off training systems in the future? Like where do you see it going, and like what is your goal, like I said, with all that?
That's also a great question too, because I haven't really thought of where this could go, which I think like sky is the limit. Like I do have some mentors and other friends in the space that have really booming businesses of like these big weightlifting teams and things like that, and I think right now I'm pretty happy with like where I'm at with who I'm coaching, and I think the natural progression is like maybe there's more content to be made, or maybe there's a situation where we get our own gym or club somewhere else. Like I don't know yet, but I think that's the natural progression in seeing where this goes, and that's what I think is cool about doing this is you could take it wherever you want, right?
Yeah.
Like, who knows? Maybe this could disappear tomorrow. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
But that's one of the cool things about running your own thing is that you can do whatever you want with it, and I don't know yet, right, where it should go or where I want it to go. But I think that's also okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's definitely one of those things that there's sometimes the best. It's like a two-edged blade, right? Because it's like having that freedom of choice gives you space to play in, as long as you have some kind of vision to traverse it, right?
Yes.
And so like it's kind of just fjording between the two things, as more or less.
Yeah.
So, and we talked about, like I said, more the business, but I want to know, beyond PRs, beyond client wins, everything like that, at the end of the day, when it comes to Matt Blass, what do you want people to remember you for? Like, what do you want? What do you want your legacy to be, and not just in weightlifting, but like as a person? You know?
Yeah, that's pretty deep. I think, I don't want to be just known as just like the weightlifting dude that people worked with, but obviously like that's my job title, and people know that I am an Olympic lifting coach, but I just want to be known and remembered as a dude that just wants to help, right? Like I think this goes way beyond just teaching people strength sport and exposing them to that. Like I hope some of these nuggets that they learn throughout their lifting journey can be carried through their life, right? And that's kind of what I want to be remembered as a person that helped guide in that way,
Yeah, coach, teacher, just somebody that created change and an impact, and made people feel a certain way, and that's obviously a good feeling.
I sure hope so. Yeah. I sure hope all of the athletes feel that way.
Yeah, I'm sure all your athletes can chime in on that, and I'm sure they'll have a lot of smart ass responses, but they would all have nothing but good things to share about you,
as they should.
Yeah, as they should, as they definitely should. So we've gone deep. Let's make it nice and light again. Let you go into our rapid fire section. We're going to ask you some Olympic weightlifting questions, and so I hope you're ready. Okay. So, favorite weightlifting lift: snatch or clean and jerk?
Clean and jerk, specifically jerk.
Specifically, wow.
Jerk from the block.
Okay, this man is making me feel some sort of way now, because
I'm devious.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So most common mental block you see with people starting weightlifting?
I don't know if this is just a mental block, because like everybody has their own differences. Like But really, it's just people overanalyzing technique when they first start.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just wish people would just put in more time and know that it's going to take time to get to the place that they want to be.
Okay. Next question. If there's one technique fix that you can make that most people miss when they're weightlifting, what would it be?
Also depends on the person, but the biggest thing that I like looking at in people is the transition from above the knee into the hip, aka the power position. That is where most things go wrong, is above the knee into the power position.
Yeah, that sounds right for me. Yeah, wow. I feel targeted out here, guys, on the tracks.
Everybody.
Okay. Everybody. Yeah, so I just took mental damage out here. So what's tougher, missing a PR in the gym or an opener on the platform?
Oh, that's easy. Opener on platform.
Yeah.
Because I think, real quickly, all of this training, we do like hundreds and hundreds of lifts leading up to a competition, and that's what matters most. At least it should matter most, right?
Okay. Biggest underrated trait needed for Olympic weightlifting success?
I think great mental toughness, like discipline. I think that all fits under the same umbrella. You got to be disciplined for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Worst lift you've ever bombed, and what did you learn from it?
Oh, well, fun fact, I've never bombed out in a meet. Hopefully that never happens.
This man's, well, between the tracks, he might have just jinxed himself, but I hope not.
I don't know. My first meet, I went and found old footage. I missed my opener.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Okay, and so favorite hype song for a heavy clean?
You
can do an all-time and then like a current if you want to.
I don't know. Like, I don't really pick songs. Like, I like certain music during certain time periods. Like, right now, I like a lot of Playboi Carti. Like, in the past, it would have been, like, maybe some Young Jeezy, Gucci Mane.
Yeah,
classics. I don't know. Anything hip-hop. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Roll that Jeezy.
Roll the Jeezy. Roll the Jeezy.
All right. So, Matt, I just want to thank you so much for coming out. That's all the questions I really got for you today. Awesome. You've knocked it out of the park.
Boom, boom.
So far that we found ourselves between these tracks. So I want to thank Matt so much for coming on today, talking about mental toughness, his discipline, like I said, his regiment, and just overall self-mastery that this man has, and all the, like I said, the time, energy, and love that he pours into his clients and his athletes, because we feel it for sure. So, Matt, where can we find you? Like I said, where can we find, I said, when it comes to, I said, you're such a multifaceted man. So just shout out your stuff for us. What do you want to plug?
Instagram at Matt Blastoff. Coaching page is blastoff.ts. And yeah, you could find me probably living at Indy City Barbell as well, in person.
It's like, go seek this man out. But in the meantime, I said, want to thank you guys for tuning in with us. Go follow Matt. Make sure you're on the train for Creature. Said, go get your creatine, everybody.
Sip the Creature.
So we are trying to evolve ourselves physically and mentally, find ourselves in new areas out here, as you can see, and keep upgrading that mindset. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the Creature Feature production here, because we are on train tracks. I don't know if you guys realize that. And also, Paul gave us the great idea to wear our weightlifting shoes.
It doesn't count as wearing them outside. We're not walking around in them. Don't come for us. I know how the weightlifting community feels about this. These are clean. I mean, obviously they're clean. Look at them.
These are clean rocks out here.